I know right now at the bottom of my heart, this is one of the most pivotal moments of my life. It's messy, it's ugly, nothing makes sense. This is a moment where a lot of people crack. Being around people who give a shit is everything.
How did you get to a point where you could know deep down in your core, Calvin, I need this thing?
I stopped feeling alive. If you boil everything down, it's a feeling. What do you want to feel? You're never certain about any decision you're about to make. You just have to make it the right decision. I have no idea if this is right. Me doing this PhD program, I don't know if this is right. Me going a lifetime to work with clientele over there, I don't know if this is right. Moving to Denver, I didn't know this was right. You never know if something's right. And I think that's where people get stuck because they want certainty. You have those moments, those stories that you'll carry with you forever. But life is not made out of those stories.
Yeah.
Life is made up of how many good Tuesdays can I have? Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. How many just normal good days can I string together and that's my life? It's all made up. Everything is made up.
Yeah.
So if everything is made up, if you made up your problems, let's go make up some solutions.
What is it that you're trying to get across?
People should demand more out of themselves and everything around them because too many people let their standards slide, everything slide. And so there's got to be a level of accountability within yourself and the life you want to live and alignment with the future you that you know it's possible, but people just let slip.
Welcome to The Ambiguous Truth. I'm your host, Anthony Mistretta, and we're exploring my journey from a desk job into something a little bit more passion-oriented, purpose-driven. And today we're talking with a friend of mine, Calvin Trieu. Calvin Trieu is a strength and conditioning coach. He has trained NFL athletes at the Combine in January. He's also getting his PhD currently. He has some research published, and he's actually transitioning to a new job as we speak. Tomorrow, you said, is your first day? Monday's your first day. Without further ado, Calvin Trieu.
Hey, everybody.
So Calvin and I met at the gym that I currently go to that Calvin's now leaving. And I don't really know when we first started talking. I think you came up to me at like one of the cable machines and we just started chatting. You were new, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, this is one of the things of just being an adult, making friends.
Yeah,
and starting initiating the conversation. It's not normal for people anymore, which I don't like that. And I'm trying to be like that kid because I have like a distinct memory. I remember back in 7th grade when I moved to like this new like middle school after my parents like broke up. Everything happens, childhood stuff. I remember this girl came up to me and she introduced herself. And that moment is just ingrained in my head. And it was like the one moment where it just made me feel so seen by another human. It was so pure, so adorable. And so every time I try to think about that and remind myself whenever I'm about to go shake someone's hand, just don't make it any deeper than it needs to be. Just be like that 7th grader going up to another 7th grader new in the class. Just say, hey, want to join?
Yeah.
So pure.
Yeah.
So I try to remember that.
So meaningful. I appreciate that. And like saying hi in passing too, or just like smiling at someone. I find that especially in Denver, people don't tend to make as much like eye contact and wave. You're from Southern California?
Yeah. So from California, but I grew up in Nebraska for like 20 years.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say whenever I'm in like San Diego, people are super friendly, super smiley. Back in the Southeast, obviously you get like Southern hospitality. People are very smiley and friendly. Out here, not so much, like not when you're passing. But you got to change that. Or I guess I have to change that. You know, you're the one who's going to.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah, 100%.
All we got to do is just remember. You just got to remember more.
So anyway, tying back to when we first met, I think from that point on, we just had a couple of conversations, and every time at the gym, the conversations just got like longer and longer and longer. And I was like, all right, we cannot, I have an hour and a half to work out. I can't spend the whole time, chatting, shooting the shit. So I figured we would hop on the show and talk about some of the concepts that you brought up. I have a couple of bullet points that I wanted to hit based on some of the conversations we've had in the past, but to kick things off, I'm making a big pivot in this podcast away from, well, really the first season was just a utter lack of identity, no idea kind of what I was doing, throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what stuck. And now I'm realizing it's a little meta, it's a little bit of dog fooding where I want to shift away from my desk job and find people who are in more mission-driven industries who have more of a passion behind their work. Also, that comes with a bit more of like an entrepreneurial spirit compared to a, 9 to 5 type, desk job. Did you always know that you wanted to pursue something like fitness that you had a passion for, or did you ever get, fall to the cry of the siren towards a more traditional, secure, safe life, or stable job?
So the funny thing is, I landed here completely by accident. I wanted the stable job. So to spin the clock back, I always wanted to be a physical therapist since it just made sense when I was a kid. So I've had 3 left knee surgeries. Fun fact. So first one happened sometime in middle school, I believe it was, or high school, something like that. No, high school. It was high school. I was around 15 or 16 years old. So I've had 2 ACL surgeries, 2 meniscus surgeries, and 1 bone surgery. And my best friend at the time, we ran track, everything, just like any teenage boy wants to do,
Yeah.
is they just want to work out and hang out with girls and drive cars very fast. It's every teenage boy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And
Yeah.
and skateboard everywhere. So going through the rehab process and just trying to do push-ups in my bedroom, run track, and with that, did something stupid. We were long jumping his living room to impress some girls. And, so the way his living room layout was, not to make this story too long, but it's a long layout from dining room to kitchen to like a step ledge, and he had a couch. And so we just kept inching it further and just launching off of it and over the couch and just like sticking the landing, almost like a Superman landing. And while the girls are over here and we're like, yeah, let's just keep inching this back. Let's go. And I stuck the furthest in the Superman landing, but then you hear the pop noise. Have you ever torn
I have not, no.
but have you heard from people say like,
Yes.
so
Pop, yes.
yeah, so that pop happened and I knew. I was like, oh, dang. So anyways, I've had 3 left knee surgeries, and through the
Is
process,
that ACL?
ACL,
Yeah.
it was my whole knee.
Okay.
I blew the whole thing.
Dang.
So because of that, started PT, and then got the idea of, you know what, this is kind of cool. I like exercise. It makes sense. I can teach other people exercise at 16. Cool. Maybe this could be a career path. And so for the longest time, I actually wanted to go to PT school. And that was my career path from high school to college. And then things got really rocky, more so because I was in a frat and I just had fun.
Yeah.
And so did undergrad for 5 years actually, and didn't have everything I needed for PT school. So I did my master's program while doing the prereqs and everything. Once I finished that, I couldn't get into any PT school that I applied to.
Mm.
Because they calculate their GPAs a little differently. And so they took account of every single class I've ever taken and all the retakes. So even though I ended my undergrad with like a 3.1 and then my master's with like a 3.5, because I retaken so many classes, they said no. So the fact that I tried, they said no. And I was like, really?
Wow.
Right. And so from there, I was like, okay, what do I do? I need to be in the fitness somehow. And at that point, because I finished my master's back in Omaha, then I moved to Kansas City, and I've been there for the last 3 to 4 years now, and then just moved to Denver 7 months ago. It was during that first year, the first 6 months after applying to so many programs, learned that mathematically I cannot get in. I had a huge crisis. I was like, what am I going to do? And during that time, started coaching online and trying to make some money, figure out this whole entrepreneurial stuff, started working at a gym, learned I don't know how to sell myself, actually online first, and then I started working for a gym, and that just didn't really bear the fruit I was hoping for. I learned some stuff, but then I needed an actual big boy job because money. So then I worked at a hospital working with people, bariatric patients. So people getting medical weight loss surgery and different interventions. And I was the like sole exercise physiologist for like 3 years there.
Mm.
Until I quit about early last year. And during the whole time, I was still building my business and everything. And so hopefully, uh, answering your question right, I actually wanted the job first, but things just kept pushing me over. And then somehow I landed here with doing a remote PhD program, working for myself the last year and a half until this guy I met at the NFL Combine prep that I was at, he was in Denver also. He reached out to me last week because we kept in contact. And he was like, Calvin, we need new trainers. You are a killer. We need people. I was very flattered. And then I was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing. What percentage of your work now is like in person at like through a gym versus your own clients versus online versus whatever miscellaneous stuff?
Okay. So I'll be completely transparent. All of all but one, all of my, I am down to just 0 clients now.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is just the ebbs and flow of the business side of like the coaching and everything too. And I've had high months up to like 7,000. And then now I'm at down to 0 because the one client I have doesn't, she wants in person, but she can't transfer over because I'll be charging so much more over there, the dues, the travel and everything. And yeah, this whole has been a huge learning process. So
how do you deal with those fluctuations?
it's hard. It's hard because I feel very torn across everything because at the same time, putting this on the plate, and I was kind of telling you a little bit before. So I'm also doing a PhD program. I'm the first in my family to ever finish college, finish masters, and do a PhD program. All of my family are from Vietnam or they own their own business, but it's in the beauty side. So my mom owns a nail salon. My grandma did hair. My aunt sell purses in California. And so I'm the only one that's doing it this way in the performance space with online stuff. And I'm like, okay, let me figure this out. I'm also the oldest 7. And so trying to figure all this out, but doing a remote PhD program, we moved out here because of my girlfriend's work. And we didn't know this, but she had to travel basically 90% of the time. So I only saw her on the weekends. So
That's tough.
That was really tough on our relationship. And now she just transitioned back home, but didn't have a car because she had to get back the company truck. So I've been driving her to work and from work, which eats away about almost 3 hours a day. So,
damn, how far is work?
well, it's the fact that I have clients at the gym. We live in Wheat Ridge.
Okay.
She's in Golden. It's just going through that whole thing. And it depends on what time she goes off during the day. It could be big traffic time, 5 o'clock. It could be a little earlier.
Yeah.
So okay, so how do I show up and be a PhD student, learn how to do this process by myself while trying to build an online business, trying to build an in-person business, trying to make content, trying to record a podcast, trying to learn all these different things, speak to the right person, charge appropriately so that I can actually get paid. Because when I was undercharging, I had a full client roster list, but now I've basically 5x my prices. I'm getting way better quality clients, but it's tougher because now I'm not serving everybody,
right,
while trying to learn how to speak science and do a dissertation. And so all of this is a lot of different identities, new things all at once, while making sure I keep my head straight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
And everything I'm doing requires me to cognitively be there and mentally be there. And since I'm so forward facing with shooting content online, everything, it shows if I'm not fully present, there's a duality to that because I can't just sit back and clock in on a computer and grind. So it's like, not to like make an excuse, but just presenting the whole picture of dang.
Yeah.
So
how do you think that comes across in the content that you create in the podcast and the videos and, you know, the reels and TikTok and stuff? Do you feel like that embodies kind of the whole slew of, you know, things that you're juggling in your life? Or do you feel like you are good at like laser focusing on one, executing in that one, and then kind of moving? I guess, are you good at compartmentalizing, or do you find that it all sort of becomes blended together?
It all blends together. I feel like I feel emotions very deeply. So for fun fact, I had a father that left me, which I learned just 3 years ago, he wasn't actually my biological father. And he was abusive physically.
You learned that 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Wow.
So a lot of life is happening fast while I'm trying to adapt to the next thing immediately.
Yeah.
So gotta stay on my toes. But yeah, so fun fact with all that stuff, I feel emotions very deeply. And as a kid, I had a lot of anger issues. I didn't know how, I was never taught how to regulate or express anger
Mhm.
in a way with different emotions. And my mom's awesome. She did great. Family's great. But Vietnamese, first generation, the way that people know how to express is just loud
Mhm.
and not very great. And the advice translates very generic.
Mhm.
So even though I feel things, I'm not very good at compartmentalizing. So I have to really sit with it and whatever. So as a kid, I would punch that stuff. So I've broken my hand like 3 to 4 times, just punching things or self-inflicted pain, just to, I didn't know how to let it go. So to now, I've managed it better, everything like that. But I can feel like it shows up in my content because I do get confused and I try not to put so much pressure, but there is a lot of pressure being like, this has to work, this has to work, this has to work.
Yeah.
And just as a side thing, I've tried to apply to probably tons of side jobs. So it's kind of funny. Anytime I try to go to the normal path and like I'm sharing the completely messy middle. Like this is the unsexy part that no one like people want to hear like people like, oh, I made it. I'm at 10K, 20,
Yeah.
50K a month. I did it. No, I am in the thick of all of these identity confronting myself, all the depth and crevices of myself with what I want to do with all these different things all at once. And I know very few humans on the planet doing a PhD, trying to do business, trying to show up online, podcasts, all these all at the same time while training for big things. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like it does show across in my content to being, I can be like, am I talking to this person? Am I talking to this? What's too much? What's not too much? Do they already know this? It's a tough game.
Yeah.
And trying to show up the best I can each day and lean into it. Even though for a hot minute there, my sleep for the last 6 months, for a minute, it dropped down to 2 to 3 hours a night.
Oof.
My testosterone dropped about 200 nanograms per deciliter.
Wow. Do you think that, like, obviously that's not sustainable.
No,
How do you how are you okay with those nights of 2 to 3 hours? Like, you just that focused on?
no. So definitely not okay.
Okay.
So so a lot of things have changed. So now I did therapy. I couldn't afford to go to like in-person therapy, so I did some like the therapy apps
Mhm.
and it did help regulate my sleep. I did things. I try to block my phone around. I started journaling a lot more.
Were those 2 to 3 hours a function of like anxiety, stressors on your mind, or pure you just had a lot of shit to get done and you needed 22 hours a day to get it all done?
Anxiety.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then just the fact that my girlfriend's not here for like that really thick of it.
Yeah.
My girlfriend not being here and her stressed about money, her stress about like living out of random Airbnbs with her coworkers because she was doing door-to-door sales.
Mm.
So her brother not owns, but he's works part of a not construction, sorry, roofing company here.
Mm.
And we moved out here. She did a career pivot and we didn't know that she was going to be doing door to door in like Grand Junction. So she drove out there 3.5 hours every single week, Monday morning, come back Friday, and then we have the weekend together. But on the weekend, she's so dead tired.
Of course.
And so I can't really do much stuff with her, but I'm alone with my thoughts by myself all day throughout the week.
Yeah.
And so I get to spend time with her, but she's like stressed. So it's like both of us going through a lot of life changes. And I hope this is like actually everyone has like messy lives. So I'm just sharing like the
Yeah.
exact like I know right now at the bottom of my heart, this is one of the most pivotal moments of my life right now. And we're leaning into it. It's messy, it's ugly, nothing makes sense if you look at. But this is where like I feel like this is a moment where a lot of people crack
Mm.
because people want certainty,
Hmm.
want things to work out,
Hmm.
want to make sure they're financially going to be okay. But I believe that there's something pulling me, and I want to get as aligned as I can because I
Yeah.
know the future I can have. I know the way I can. I know the cool life that's possible, and so I'm going to keep sinking my teeth into this, no matter how much it's going to keep. I'm just I'm going through like the 11th round right now, and
Yeah.
I'm hanging on by a tooth, but I don't care
Yeah.
because I know that the one thing that I have undeniable belief and evidence within myself is that I will stand back up no
Yeah.
matter how, if I show up and there's like 1% of me and it's not the greatest, I have like all the thoughts telling me, you are sucking, you didn't say that right, you didn't do that right, it's not good enough. All those thoughts are very, very, very present. But I know I will stand right back up.
Yeah. Resilience.
You just got to endure it.
Yeah.
That's, if you can have endurance to anything, you will make it through.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching one of your reels either yesterday or today about like you said something along the lines like, I have to succeed. Like this is what I want. And I guess how did you find the direction that you wanted to chase? For a little bit of context, I feel like I'm starting to peel back the layers of the onion and understand like what does core Anthony want out of life. But the last 10 years have just been, I think, chasing like other people's dreams, more or less. How did you get to a point where you could know deep down in your core, Calvin, I need this thing?
Of like what I'm chasing right now.
Yeah.
I stopped feeling alive.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, we are all chasing a feeling. If you boil everything down, it's a feeling. What do you want to feel? What do you want to feel when you buy that house? When you see your parents? When you make that accomplishment? When you do something nice, something. Everyone's chasing a feeling. It's not right or wrong. It's neutral. It's just a feeling. And I got a taste of what that feeling was like when I was working at the hospital. And the middle of America, working in a hospital, making average money, I felt so dead. People didn't see. It was so lifeless.
mm,
I've so I've seen the parts of me living working a job that was so lifeless. I was angry. I started to become resentful. I started becoming that person. When I see someone successful, I would have those negative thoughts being like,
mm,
must be nice, or they didn't do it because of this. I caught myself and I was like, I don't want to be that person.
yeah.
I've seen the worst parts of myself. I've been the worst parts of myself. I have seen all those shades and I do not want that. I know what's the opposite. The opposite is I want to lean into the other direction. So, what do I have to do right now to go towards that way? Because nothing it nobody's path makes sense. When you're looking for it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense when you can look back
Right.
and you can connect the dots being like that was how it was supposed to unfold the way it did. I would have never saw that coming. But I'm so glad I kept pivoting. I was okay and I accepted pivoting over and over and over, even though it didn't feel like good in the moment. I just knew there's something here, even if it's a speck.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Yeah. So this concept pivot versus persevere is a common one in like the early stage company world. You face the question of pivot or persevere often. We're hitting a hurdle here. Is that indicative of a failure and we need to choose a different customer segment, choose a different, feature set, or do we have some level of conviction, enough conviction that we need to tuck our head and keep going? That extends to life in general. I feel like tracing the last 10 years of my career, pivot, just continuously. I am searching for an opportunity to persevere. And it sounds like you are in a place now where the pivots are done. I mean, not to say that they're ever fully complete in a micro sense, but in a macro sense, you have a better gist of what you're looking for. You understand that like now it's time to just kind of tuck your head and go forward. What is it that made you certain that you're ready to start persevering? You're ready to keep on pushing and you do not want to pivot anymore?
You're never certain about any decision you're about to make. You just have to make it the right decision.
Mm.
You just make a decision. I have no idea if this is right. When me doing this PhD program, I don't know if this is right. Me going a lifetime to work with clientele over there, I don't know if this is right. Moving to Denver, I didn't know this was right. You never know if something's right. And I think that's where people get stuck because they want certainty. They want so much certainty that, and of course, you have to play the long game, like long range vision of doing it, like somehow calculating, is this going to make, of course, I like make sure I calculate like what are the odds, like this can work out. But really, a lot of things that paralyze people, they overthink it.
Yeah.
You just got to make a decision. It only comes down to a decision, and you have to make it the right one
Yeah.
because you can play all the angles. You can convince yourself down. You can negotiate yourself up. We are so good at internally painting a picture in any narrative we want. You just make a decision and go. And the faster you can make those decisions and the more aware you are of these decisions and you can just examine it, then you can look for the patterns. And you're like, wait a minute. If I make these type of decisions, these are the type of things that happen. But if I wait so long to make these decisions, the feedback is so much slower. It kind of comes back to training. I pull a lot of life references back to physiology and training. It's kind of all the same thing. So if you want to make faster progress, just make more decisions
Yeah.
and lean into it, whatever it is.
There's that adage that's like, if you're only 10 failures away from success, like how quickly can you fail or something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that same type of mindset is how much can you compress?
Yeah.
How, just like when it comes to training, if I'm training somebody and they want to see progress, they're coming from zero. Sure, they'll make progress to coming in 2 times a week. Or if they just go all in and I see them like 5, 7 times a week, they're gonna learn themselves, learn things so much faster. The rate of progression
Yeah.
and that iteration, you need to have a feedback to know. You just learn faster.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of nutshell another point you made to make sure I fully get it. I think what you were saying about just making the decision, correct me if I misunderstand, but this is my takeaway. It's sort of like you just need to have confidence yourself and have conviction behind the choice, regardless of what that choice is. If you make a choice and you stick with it and you say, and you just go balls to the wall, that's going to either bring about success or bring about some failure that's going to be a closer, just one step closer to a success. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Kind of, yeah. The one point you said that just made me think of, you said making a decision and having the confidence and conviction there.
Mhm.
It's okay to make decisions without the conviction or confidence. There's so many times in my life where I don't believe in myself. I am scared. I don't have the conviction. I feel like the smallest version of myself. But if you can even have a shred of belief in yourself to make that decision, just to lean in, honestly, even if you just strip everything, there could be an absence of everything. Just lean. That's kind of the mental picture in my head. If I'm in a moment where everything's stripped, I have absence of everything for some reason, it's just not there today. I just picture me falling forward and I just lean into, I'm like, okay, let me just take that. Let me just make this decision. Can I break this down to just, let me lean to this one decision? Okay. What's the next decision? Lean in. What's the next decision? Lean in. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Decision paralysis is your worst enemy. It's not that you make the wrong decision. It's effectively that you don't make a decision and you don't choose going forward anywhere. One of the things that we talked about at the gym a while ago was this concept of like a volume knob. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. Like dials and switches.
Yeah, I think dials and switches. Yeah. Because yeah, I just heard about the concept of dimmers and switches, and you talk about dials and switches. Can you just kind of briefly share that concept for anyone listening, and then we'll kind of dive into that because I really enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah. So dials and switches, I got the two words from a Navy SEAL. His name is DJ Shipley, and he calls it dials and switches. And I love that concept because there's so many areas in life where sometimes you have to flip a switch. But I think too many people take things too binary or live in that world of binary for too long. You got to be very fluid and dynamic with all the different tools that you have acquired along life and use it in the next context, next situation. So, how many tools can you acquire and how flexible can you be? It's like any beliefs or thoughts and things you have. Don't be so married to them. Loosely hold them. Be open to updating your thoughts and everything. But when it comes to certain things, sometimes getting up and going to work, for example, it doesn't matter how you feel, you got to go do it. But how you do it, you can do it with the presence of compassion, grace for yourself. It doesn't have to be from a place of shame or guilt or self-inflicted whatever to drive the behavior. And so many people, when it comes to them driving their behavior, they only live in the how can I be as mean and aggressive and self-deprecating to myself as humanly possible to drive the behavior. It can work. It can work. It's like getting a rocket off the ground. It could be the activation energy that you need, and depending on the context that we like talk about. But to keep that rocket afloat in the air, you got to dial that throttle back, and you got to find something sustainable, a sustainable fuel source. So that's where I like the dial complex. So the way that DJ communicates it, and I love the way he does it, is especially him in his extreme context as a Navy SEAL. Okay, so when he goes to work, he needs to flip a switch when he's out there. He can't be thinking about his family. So he has to be a full-on SEAL operator. He cannot be anything else but that one identity. Otherwise, life is on the line. And so, but now that he works as a business owner coming home, his kids, his family doesn't need him to be the operator. They need dad. They need DJ. And so I love in his story, when he comes home, he parks in the driveway, he sits there for one song, and he downregulates and he turns the dial back. And I love that. And I try to apply it to myself in a training context and a life context is my girlfriend doesn't need me to be a business owner, a coach when I'm talking to her. She needs me to be a boyfriend. She needs me to just be listen to her and not try to solve her problems, for example, that I still working through. So I just love that concept of understanding there's a time and place for you to step on the gas and be black and white. But at the same time, you must be able to flip that switch over to, can we just turn the dial and just be very fluid like water? So it's just knowing the right time and place to be what you need to be in that right context to just not have it blow up in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, you were talking about all the different avenues that you're facing, that you're experiencing, with work, school, relationships. I feel like there's so many masks that we put on a daily basis or a weekly basis of all the different things that we do. And trying to be all those things at one time can be extremely overwhelming. Sometimes you just have to really go into, you know, all right, I'm the CEO of a early stage company. I am pitching investors. I need to raise money. Nothing else matters in that hour, meeting. The only thing that matters is how successful can I be at that, this conversation. But then once you leave, maybe you change a little bit, not at your core, right? But there's some part of you that you leave in that office, that you leave in that conference room so that you can show up best for whoever is, you're experiencing next, whether that's going home or maybe coworkers, they need a slightly different version of you. For your employees need a different version of you than an outside investor, things of that nature. Yeah, I really like that. We also talked a little bit about pendulum swinging. And, I am I fall victim to the pendulum swing really strongly, where I experience A, and then somehow my eyes are open to the exact opposite, and I go full on in that other direction, and then I eventually come to find this sort of middle ground. And I feel like there's sort of two camps of people. There's the people who need a strong pendulum swing in order to find their middle ground. And then there's people who can just kind of like walk slowly towards that middle ground. That's not, I don't think, ever going to be me. And I think you were saying you're similar to me, as in like you find that the pendulum swing is powerful. And I think you said something along the lines of, if I remember the conversation correctly, because it's been a couple months now, you feel that you sometimes need to experience 100% in the opposite direction for you to really understand. Is that how you feel? Am I
Yeah. Um,
misremembering?
I'm remembering back from our conversation, and the first thing that comes to mind is a training
Yeah.
reference. It's like RPE or RIR. So just like anybody on a gym floor, if you first time working with somebody, just like normal people, if you ask them, give me a 7 out of 10 effort on this, they'll give you what they believe is a 7 out of 10 effort, but they don't know what their full capacity is. They don't know what it feels like to really push a weight. You don't know what you don't know.
Mm,
And so sometimes it's kind of a good idea to know what are your boundaries within a controlled, safe manner.
I see.
And
So if you ask them for an RPE 7, they might actually give you an RPE 4
exactly.
because they think that their 7 is their 10. Ah,
And then right there, it doesn't really, and people blur it. This is where you can have to separate things out. They think they're giving a 7 out of 10 effort by psychologically being there. Or I'm like doing this, like, oh, I'm really thinking about this. Like, no, like you were not pushing this. Let me put in the constraints, set up the environment for you to just explore, go, find out. So it's almost like you have to fly close to the sun, kind of like the like Icarus
yeah,
story.
yeah,
You got to fly close to the sun to know where your boundaries are.
yeah.
And that kind of comes back to entrepreneurship or just going out on your own. Boy, you do not know how far you will have to push yourself if no one's writing your checks. You don't know how far you will push yourself if you not in a relationship anymore. And all these different things. There's no safety nets. There's no accountability for somebody. There's no, if you put yourself into the right conditions and place the right constraints, you will learn so much more about yourself.
I like that. All right, you mentioned entrepreneurship a couple of times. So I feel like in the training world, it's probably impossible not to have an entrepreneurial mindset and be a trainer. Do you agree with that?
Not impossible, but it blows up people's faces.
Yeah,
So
okay.
a lot of this is people come into training because they like exercising. Who doesn't like want to wear shorts and like cozy, like oversized tees and help people work out? But then you learn the whole business out of it.
Mm.
And then you learn the whole behavior change out of it. And then most people don't make money. Most people, this is not very sustainable for them because you're not learning the business out of it. There's so much that comes into it. And so, what was your question again?
Well,
Sorry.
I didn't ask a question yet, quite yet.
Okay, sorry.
No, don't apologize. The reason why where I'm going with this is, um, it's, so my background being more, desk jobby, corporate-y, software-y, there's a very like clear cut sort of upward trajectory. And the ceiling is really, there's not much of a clear ceiling because you can take so many different branches. You can go into more of the business side, take on upper management, C-suite roles. You can start a company. There's kind of like all these different avenues. Where I'm getting to with training is it seems as though with training, there's a little bit more of a perceived ceiling in terms of like in-person training, where at a certain point, you're probably not going to be able to charge a whole lot more. And you only have so much time that you can actually dedicate to training people without going crazy. So it feels like it's this space where the impetus is on you as a trainer to find additional income streams, to find opportunities where you can have residual income or just seek things out that are higher yielding compared to just in-person training. Because obviously, as you get more experience, you're going to be able to command a higher rate than someone who has just started naturally. But at a certain point, you kind of cap out, is what it feels like.
Totally.
Yeah. So my question is like, how do you honestly maintain sanity while because you've got a lot of fires, right now, or got a lot. What's the word? Got a lot of forks in the fire. What is it?
Oh my gosh, expressions. Uh, things in the oven.
What my
That's
buddy literally
that's one.
just said it.
I'm from Nebraska. I should know all these things. But I get it. I have a lot of things going on.
Yeah. We're gonna cut all that shit.
Keep it. This is raw.
Actually, on that note, one of the things that I mentioned, like the identity crisis with the podcast. One of the things that I didn't love is like the overly produced podcasts, and I felt like mine. There was like so much production gone into it, so much like the trimming and the music and like all the just like the animate. You see so many like animations and visuals, and it's like at the end of the day, I get that we need like video, but it's a podcast. Like I don't know what the percentages of people who just listen versus people who watch. I like to watch podcasts, but anyway, this is a long tangent. I realized I think in order for this to become more authentically my show, it just has to the production has to plummet.
Just leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
It's not AI. This is so human.
Yeah. 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 Well, we can get into that a lot. Yeah, I cannot for the life of me remember. There's like irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Okay.
But
you have a lot of irons in the fire.
Yes, sir.
I am also sort of trying to like, I can't multitask very well, so that's hard for me to do. But as I'm navigating a career pivot and trying to break away completely from a desk job and have ideally this become a source of, income, but then hopefully that also opens up doors for other things that could be income generating. How do you maintain sanity through all the different avenues? At what point does it just get like too much? Has it become that for you yet where it's just too much to manage and you feel like you're going insane?
That's a fair question. So it makes sense for me because everything comes back to the one main thing is, okay, I am coaching people. Everything falls underneath the umbrella of human performance. It's just getting people results, getting them faster, stronger, more fit, physically, cognitively. I just want to turn people into an absolute unit, be the best, just get results. And so if I spread things out, looking at it, because I have thought about, I'm like, is this too much? No, it's all little elements of the main thing. So
Can you define that main thing?
The main thing is exercise.
Okay.
It's training. And so, okay, so I have my PhD. So this is where I burrow over to, okay, I'm learning the things I want to learn. Physiology, metabolism, hypertraining, down to the molecular whatever level. Exercise, science. I get to go deep in learning this. Okay, coaching people in person. I translate, I do the thing in person. Online, I do the thing online. Now, content, I talk about the thing. So I read about the thing, I talk about the thing, I do the thing. The main thing is all exercise. These are just different channels. It's not like I'm doing 5 different businesses. If I was doing a business in solar, a business in roofing, a business in coffee shops, that would be 5 different domains. But then one domain is performance. And so it's just different elements of it. And these are the things that I want to get better.
I see.
And this is the lifestyle. And this is where I want to take my career. So I am living the life I want to live. I'm just trying to get it to a higher scale. And obviously the bank account to reflect that. But essentially, this is the lifestyle. I want to be able to talk about the thing online and share about the thing I love so much. And that is just so cool to me. But also do a little bit of the research stuff. Bless you. And the in-person and online. It's just my big limiter is, well, not big limiter, but comes with all this. It's basically, I'm like doing like 3 to 4 different startups. It feels like at the very beginning, it's learning the things I didn't know that is the thing that will generate the whatever the conversion is. How do I write a copy? How do I attract people? How do I stop people from scrolling and get people to watch my stuff? Because I have evidence to show that I do well when I work with people. People get good results, this and that. But my biggest barriers right now is, okay, how do I get people to know who I am and to stick? And that's all the business marketing stuff that I obviously was never taught, but I'm learning how to do that, writing copy for a website. email newsletter, like things like that. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, and I really like that framing that, it's not that you reach your maintenance of sanity is not derived from like a quantity of things that you're doing. It's an alignment problem, right? It's as long as what you're doing aligns with the greater picture, the bigger picture that you have for yourself and the direction you want your life to go, everything's okay. But perhaps as soon as you start to break away from things that are out of alignment, as you do a solar business just for shits and giggles, that's when things become a little bit muddied. And that's one of the things that I think one of the directions I wanted this podcast to go, and the reason why I specifically mentioned more purpose-driven, meaningful careers is because I feel like it's easy to become excited about an opportunity purely because there's like money to be made. I don't know why that just doesn't. I think I do know why. I think when I've pursued opportunities purely because there's been a financial incentive, the financial incentive is never strong enough for me to actually give a shit about what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, I quit because there's no like deeper core motivation happening within. It's an external motivation. It's a motivation for increasing my bank account, which is all good and well. Not to say that that's a bad thing to have a desire to increase your yield, but it's never been sufficient for me. And so I think finding people who agree with that, finding people who feel similarly that like, no, I need to find a career that aligns with, what I want in the bigger picture of things that's the type of people I want to talk to and the people that I want to kind of align my life around.
There's something I like that you brought that up because that was a huge reminder that was given to me when I was at the NFL combine prep working with those athletes.
Mm.
Because I was back in Omaha for a wedding for my girlfriend's like family, and we saw one of our old friends, and he asked me about the experience because he's in the training world too and everything, and he loved that stuff. And he was asking what was like your biggest takeaway from it, just asking questions like any other guy would be excited about, and thought about it. The biggest thing that I took away from that experience wasn't the fact that, hey, I work with NFL athletes. No, it was the mindset.
Mm.
It was, imagine this. You're in a building where every other person in this building had to fight and file their teeth. And it took them years and even decades to get into this one building at this one time with everybody, and everybody there has a story. Nobody walked in there by accident. Everyone is there to work. Everyone is facing a dream. Everybody is risking their financial future, their family, their sanity, their perception from other people, thinking you should have taken whatever. People are in debt. People are being, everyone in there, from the athletes, from the clinicians, from the coaches, from the agents, from the college kid working the front desk. Everyone in that building is fighting to be in that room, in that space at that one time. There's an aura, there's an energy to that. It's a place of real professionals.
Yeah.
And when you get to be in places where people just exude that, it doesn't have to be super confident. It doesn't have to be like they know it. There's a mission. There's something that they're going after, and they're willing to put everything on the line, and they will show up because they give a shit. Being around people who give a shit is everything. Just like you said about the money part, yes, financial stuff has to be a part of the equation. But like you said, it's not sustainable. It won't carry you forever. For some people, sure, but then other parts of the life might not go too well. So a part, like, yes, it's there, but it's the fact that like what I'm doing right now, where I'm going, I feel something inside of me. I feel this is it. If you look at if you just take a snapshot of the entire landscape of everything, it looks so messy. If you look at the texture in my mind right now, it may look so messy, but I know I will regret this because I don't want to make it to the end of the line and face that part of me that could have been.
Yeah.
I will not do that. I've seen all the other worst parts of me. I will not do that. I will bet everything under the sun to lean into whatever this direction is and however way it unfolds step by step. Because after being reminded and being in a place like that, that's real, my God, I want to be around more people who give a shit. And those are typically people at the top of whatever their game, whatever the craft. It's all a craft. I think people miss the picture of the work they do. It's not just clocking in, clocking out. What's your craft? What is the thing that you are willing, just like you told me about the light that you built over there. The second you said that, I had my level of respect for you went even more up. I saw something right there. It's that kid who was curious, who explored a curiosity, no matter the financial cost or the whatever the fuck, and you just leaned in and just built shit because it was fun.
Yeah.
And you have a smile on your face because of it. That's worth more than anything. You have a story.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all you have left at the very end is stories.
Yeah.
Memories. Yourself. From the day you take your first breath to the day you take your last. The only person you have with you is you. And so, can you like you? Can you be friends with you? Can you be okay with you? Can you be okay with the stories you've carried along the way, with all the scars and everything, with all the decisions? And so, me thinking about the end in mind, who do I want to meet along the line? I don't want to make it to the very end and see all the possibilities that didn't because I was too afraid, because I allowed the crowd in. I allowed the old man thought in. Nobody ever paid my bills.
Yeah.
So let me just lean into this, because the stories that I love when I watch movies, I love watching movies because I love the stories. And I love the stories of people who just bet on everything. People just go for it. And you don't have to bet everything. People who just work normal jobs. But if there's a fire, if there's passion, if there's something there, people who just give a shit about whatever the fuck they're doing, I love that, because you can see the humanness. You can see the non-roboticness. So many people are so conformed to whatever, and everyone is just dampened.
Yeah.
So many people just walk around looking down, not saying hi. I'm like, I don't want that life. Maybe that's that part of my childlike I'm still trying to keep alive, but I want to embody that kid on the playground, on the skateboard, who just wants to explore and see what's going to happen. Am I going to try this kick flip and nick myself in the shin 30 billion times until it's like I have a huge bump? Yeah.
Yep.
But the second I land that tray flip, I still remember the first time I did it. I want that story. So I'm going to keep chasing it, no matter how messy this looks. But this is where everything happens. It's the messy middle. You just have to get messy.
Yeah.
And just do the thing. And it's going to work out. Because if you are hungry and you are undeniable with yourself and you choose to endure, it will work out. Because there's how many talented people do you, like growing up, how many talented people did you know in school? You're like, oh, this person probably going to go pretty far. Or how many rich kids that you went to school, and people didn't get that far. The people that make it really far are the ones who give a shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Because when you meet people day to day, and like just you meeting me here, and thank you for like asking me to be on, you saw something human in me that I just like what I fucking do.
Yeah.
And I just care, and I just want more, and just live a cool life and do it with cool people. You brought me here. And so if you want to get farther in life, give a shit about what you do. Master your craft. Be that kid.
Yeah.
And then just keep going.
Yeah. It's sort of like, is it Shakespeare who said, better to have loved and lost than never loved at all? Better to have tried and failed than never tried at all. Like, I feel like that's
be the man in the arena.
Yeah.
Don't be the guy, the critic. Get off the sidelines.
Yeah.
Get in life. Go live life.
Yeah.
Go do it.
And I really like that, because I think there's a lot of examples in business and personal success stories where truly the deciding factor of one's success was just perseverance and just caring and just doing it. It wasn't like, anything magical. It's just simply, I never gave up, and now I have something to show for it. And it's so true. I think back to the people who, were high achievers in high school, college. You're like, wow, they're gonna be something. And then there'd be the people who never in a million years did you think they were gonna quote unquote make it, and then they did. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen? It's like, well, because that person gave a shit. Like at the end of the day, anyone who I've seen in my like younger years who has like turned out to become like my buddy Austin, we all knew, I will say he's a little bit of a different character because like he's one of the most talented motherfuckers I've ever seen, like singing, acting. We all knew he was going to make it pretty far, and he is making it very far. But he gave a shit. That's all he cared about was acting and singing and dancing. And like from the time I knew him in elementary school or maybe middle school, and like that's all he cared about, and he's crushing it. And then there's other people I can think about who in high school they were such a different person, but then they just came out of the woodworks with like a deep passion, and now they're killing it. It's like awesome to see. And I think that reminds me a little bit of my career because I just haven't given a shit about a lot of the stuff that I've done in the past, and it just like felt like I should be doing this, I should be working for this company, I should be doing this job, and it becomes just mind numbing, banging your head against the wall. Like I remember when my last full time job that I had, I was just like there were days where I would just like lay on the couch and just like sob during work because there was like, it was just so utterly meaningless to me. And I'm just tired of doing that. I'm tired of like replaying that narrative and repeating that day in and day out with my work. And you see so many counterexamples of people who are, just making jobs out of something completely ludicrous, or at least like it seems ludicrous compared to all the more like traditional jobs out there, but they're making it work. Why not me? Why not you? Why not us? And I think we're living in a weird world where I think a lot of people are waking up to, well, you kind of couple just the benefits depreciating for full-time employees, the cost of living going up significantly. And it's like the things that historically worked really well for creating a life of like meaning and comfort are suddenly breaking apart. And so it's like, well, if I'm not going to get to achieve my goals within this realm of comfort and security, let me at least chase a fucking moonshot and see where it gets me. And who knows, maybe it'll get me a hell of a lot further. And if not, you have a great story to tell from it, and you at least went through life giving a shit.
Have you heard of, it's in the ultra running space, Cocodona?
I'm not super familiar with the ultra running space.
It's okay. There's this really big one. It was like Cocodona 250. There was this girl. She's the first.
Wait, is Cocodona the race?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like recent, about a month or two ago.
I'm sure my sister would know. She does that stuff. I hate running.
She's like the first woman that like won it, and she didn't just win it. She won it by hours.
Wow.
By the second person. And what she said, I love it, because like right there you said, well, no, it was like, why not you?
Mm-hmm.
And what she said is, someone has to win this, so it might as well be me.
Yeah.
And it's like adding that in. It's like, okay, why not you? But also remembering someone has to go do the thing. Someone has to win. Someone has to be in those positions, do that craft, whatever. It has to be somebody.
Yeah.
Why not you?
Yeah.
So someone has to do it. And so just remembering that story, just hearing those reminders of those type of people. And I just love thinking, because so many people will always, like, people are like, okay, what's the average? What's the average performance that someone does in the sales role? What's the average person make per year? And so many people just like reorient their mind to what's the average. But then how about, why don't you think about how much is this person making? Like when I went to the Lifetime interview, and they were telling me, oh, this is like the average like trainer made. Like they were like, oh, the average trainer charges like 140 an hour. I'm like, who's the guy that makes the most? 200. Okay. I'm going to go make 200.
Yeah.
Why make the average? Because by setting your standards there, you lower all your standards, all your ambitions, you lower everything. So if you want more, go, because somebody has to be that $200 an hour guy.
Right.
I want to be that. Let's go.
Yeah. I feel like we live in a world where it's really easy to conform, and we're encouraged to conform. And that's like, to a certain extent, I Actually, I don't get it.
And
I feel like I don't do well with authority. I don't do well with conformism.
dude, I had a 13 on the ACT and I'm getting a PhD now. How does that work?
Because you care. I think that's really what it
That's it.
is.
That's
Yeah.
it. Just think of how many identity shifts I had to keep stretching.
Yeah.
There has to be the first of something. And like I will be 100% like I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world. I have had if you look at my transcript, I've had so many Fs.
Yeah.
I which is like I feel like an imposter thing. I shouldn't have had this many Fs, Ds, Cs. I've had every letter
Yeah.
at every stage. But someone has to keep showing up.
Yeah.
Someone has to keep taking that class. And eventually you'll learn it. Because it's all made up. And so many people has this like, oh yeah, I had the perfect transcript going up, and then I became a mediocre person because I just conformed and whatever. And I'm like, whatever. Just okay, you fucked up. You did drugs. You failed. You cheated. You did all these things. You failed. You lost money. It's all made up. Everything is made up.
Yeah.
So if everything is made up, if you made up your problems, let's go make up some solutions. Let's go because for me, I just need to know that one motherfucker did it. My girlfriend's brother, like I said, he's in the construction company. Before he got in that role, he was 80K in debt, and now he's fine. He has a beautiful 5-year-old and has like $1 million house or something, like an expensive ass house in whatever, Colorado. And I'm like, okay, cool. How many people have went so deep and they crawled right back out? And that doesn't mean like all of it's not real.
Yeah.
But I also see like from like us still being young, so many people in our age group are like, oh my God, I have this much student loans. It's gonna take me forever. I'm like, no, dude, this is a different world. There's a way. And that's the biggest thing that if I can instill at anybody, and what I always say to myself is there's a way.
Yeah.
There's always an option. There's always get fucking scrappy in this life. There's always an option. If there's not an option, you make an option. There's never one option not on the table for you to make.
Yeah.
If you can remember that. And I mean, like, we've all gone through hard things. Every single person here has had some type of disadvantage, some type of sad story. If you went through that at 12, at 10, at 20, who says you can't go through that again at 40, at 50? If anything, you have more resources, knowledge, experiences. You have so much more to pull from.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
You mentioned Icarus earlier on in the conversation. There's a Matthew McConaughey was on Modern Wisdom, if you're familiar with that show, and he was saying, I actually think that people don't fly close enough to the sun. Like people don't take enough chances, and he's like the king of taking chances. Like he nearly threw away his acting career to dive more into dramas and more like serious roles. He's like, no, I'm tired of being pigeonholed into this like pretty boy kind of rom-com bullshit. He's like, no, I want real acting. I want real things. And people are telling him, you're going to fuck up your entire career for that. He's like, great. I'd rather, fuck up my entire career, but still do something that I feel so deeply, called to. And obviously that worked out very well for him. But I think that's something that's really stuck with me is that mindset that like, we're encouraged in so many ways to be safe and, play by the rules. But you look at anyone who is successful, who is, quote unquote, made it in this world, none of them played by the rules. None of them played it safe. Everyone flew close to the sun and figured out what they could and couldn't do. And maybe we need a little bit more of that mentality of like, actually, let's see how close we can actually make it.
Two words that came up in my head is audacity and peace. How audacious could you be? And the other word is, how like my mom asked me all the time is, Calvin, are you happy? And your parents probably ask you that too, friends, but nobody ever ask, are you at peace? I don't think I want to be that happy. I think I'd rather have peace.
What do you mean? What is happiness?
Highs and lows. Feeling things very high, feeling things very low, ebbs and flows. I think I'd rather have peace. And to me, words matter. The words you say matter. Just like how we were talking about my podcast name
Yeah. Yeah.
Demand more, demand better. What's the philosophy? What are the mechanisms behind that word that you're about to use? Because right now it's nothing, but
Yeah.
who says it won't be nothing forever? And it might mean something to where somebody might tattoo it on their body and it might save them. It might carry them.
Yeah.
And so I think about the word peace over happy just because life is kind of made up, and I might be kind of going off here, but life is really just made up of, like, you went to Ecuador. So sick. I'm sure you were like cloud nine happy for sure.
Yeah. The whole time.
Yeah, for sure. But life, you have those moments, those stories that you'll carry with you forever. But life is not made out of those stories.
Yeah.
Life is made up of how many good Tuesdays can I have? Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. How many just normal good days can I string together? And that's my life.
Mm.
And me going through my days, how I reset my mind each morning is, can I just be at peace with this day?
Yeah.
If life were to end right now, and I know there's like movies that like, oh, if say you got some terminal disease and you got to go do a bucket list and go do all these crazy things. But at the end of the story, they always go back to, what type of peace can I just have?
Yeah.
Can I just grab my partner, sit on the porch, have a cup of coffee, watch the sunrise while petting my dog's head and the breeze hitting me, and you just had a good meal in your belly, and you're having good conversations that day. It's the little things.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to frame it, and that's what I'm trying to remind myself to pursue more of is, how can I just string together more of these days? Because that is my life. That is what I will replay when I die. And at the end of the day, when my head hit the pillow, can I say, that was a peaceful day? And if I don't wake up tomorrow, if somehow I just die right now, I do get kind of morbid sometimes. But remember, there's like the Stoic Latin memento mori, you will die. Any moment you can die, get hit by a car, anything can literally happen at any moment. So I try to remind myself in the present, how can I make this day just be, I'm at peace. If this was it, this was enough.
Yeah. The chase of happiness is an interesting thing because we are a society where we are obsessed with chasing happiness. And there's a book called The Power of Meaning. It has changed its like subtext, but the book that I have, which is boxed up currently, otherwise I would grab it, is Power of Meaning, finding purpose in a world obsessed with finding happiness. And the whole book is about how happiness is more or less a byproduct. It's a side effect of a lot of other things. And it's nearly impossible to chase because you'll have happiness, you'll have sadness, it's an emotion, right? And emotions stem from your, response to experiences. You can't really chase emotions. You can experience them, but it's a side effect. It's a consequence of things in your life. And so the book's argument is that, and a little bit background on the book, it was a research done on patients who were in a hospital near death, typically older people. And the interviewer asked them questions about like basically how, first to understand if they're okay with passing. And then secondly, if they're okay, what makes them okay? And overwhelmingly, the ones who were very content with their passing was because they had meaning in their life, not because they were happier, right? That because they also experienced sadness, they also experienced a whole slew of emotions, but they found meaning, they found purpose. And I think that it's definitely different than peace. Maybe they're two sides of the same coin, as like you're able to achieve peace through, feeling like you've done something meaningful with your life. But to your point, I think that breaking away from a search and endless quest for happiness and focusing more on a more tangible achievement of gratitude in your life currently, you're never going to, no outcome is ever going to make you feel better about yourself. No, you see this all the time with like plastic surgery, and body modification, how it's just like one thing leads to the next, the next, the next. In essence, like, well, it's not actually solving the core problem of like, you're not content with who you are. it's just changing who you are, and you're going to continue to be not content with who you are, and you're just going to continue kind of going down that road. At the end of the day, it's a decision. Just like you have to be okay with the decisions that you make through your career, and you're not going to have 100% conviction that you're making the right choice. But when you make a choice, you must know it is the right choice because you made it. Therefore, it is the right choice. Similar thing with, finding peace in your life. I think you just have to be, this is what I want. I'm grateful for what I have. Take peace in just moved into a new place. Very grateful to have this. Really soak up the sun quite literally and enjoy the balcony and be grateful for this, just as I'll be grateful for the next place, the next place, the next place, and so on.
Something really cool that I learned recently that you just brought to the surface. And this kind of comes to a lot of behavior change, like psychology stuff too, is so many people make emotions and they make that emotion their entire identity. And something I heard from someone is if you look at other religions and other cultures of how they say they're feeling a feeling, they don't, they phrase it differently. They don't feel it, it's passing through them like a gust of wind. So I love that because you don't have to make your feeling your entire identity. And that way it drives the entire narrative and the perception and the reality. Because that is how that's people's your perception is based off of your feeling. And so many people go back to the dials and switches and that black and white. Do I feel happy? No, something's wrong. And so all these feelings that people feel is, okay, you feel happy, you feel sad, you feel uncertain, you feel whatever. It's just passing through you. You don't have to create an entire identity around that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so that was huge for me when I learned it like that, of kind of how would you just brought up the whole feeling stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Because I've heard that you're not anxious, you have anxiety. Right.
It's just
kind of a
passing through
step
you.
further. Yeah, exactly.
It's just passing through
a
you.
step further is well, it's not that I have it, it's that I am currently experiencing it. It's going through me. Which is just separates you even further away from that emotion. So that way you can hold on to yourself and your own identity and not feel like that emotion is who you are.
Because your emotions, it's just neutral. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's just a human experience.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with feeling sad sometimes or certain things.
It can be hard. Yeah, but they're helpful.
They're helpful as indicators and feedback.
Exactly.
But you don't have to create an entire identity around it.
Yes.
And craft a story and make it a whole big thing, which most of us do.
100%. And you were talking about your podcast, and I think that might have been in the prior recording, but talking about the name of your show and some questions you had about renaming it. And words are so powerful. I had a friend I met her at a festival. I met her at a festival in Australia, and she got on everyone, especially me, because I was I had a tendency to say things like, "Oh, I'm so stupid." And she's like, "Anthony, you're not stupid. You may have done something that wasn't the smartest, but do not say that, because even if you say it once to yourself, you're going to start to believe it." Right. And words are extremely powerful. So with that said, I'm curious to hear about the show, your podcast, a little bit. Also tell people where to find you, and how they can connect with you and all that jazz before we part ways.
Yeah. So the podcast, before it was just my name, the Calvin Trieu podcast. I didn't know what to name it, all that stuff. And I was thinking to myself, what do I want people to feel? Because it comes back to just feeling. And I am my own ICP. So what do I want to feel? And when do I listen to podcasts? And the feeling that I loved the most was there was a long span where when I lived in Kansas City, I lived downtown. Every Monday morning, Nick Bear, do you know who Nick Bear is? He owns a supplement company and big online everything too. A lot of personal development, fitness stuff.
Cool.
His company is $100 million now. So he gives a lot of good insight and wisdom from his perspective and everything. And I really like it. And so what I love the feeling was every Monday morning it would come out. And Monday was my day where I kind of I treat it as my Sunday. I would go for a run, middle of the day last summer, spring to summer to fall, run out of my apartment, my shirt's off, I put the headphones in, I'm running down the city because it's like our apartment was on a hill, down over to the riverfront, and I just felt like main character energy.
Yeah.
I listened to something that's just giving me something. I felt very it was good. Running the sun, getting tan, listening to it, I'm being my best self, and it's like, I want that feeling. I wanna give other people that feeling. I wanna create a show to where somebody around the world can go have that experience, and it added something positive into their day, their life, and I was like, "Okay, now I know what the end product I want people to feel, to learn and feel inspired, aspired by something. Now, what do I want the name to be?" From a branding and business perspective, you want the name to be sticky. The stickier the name, the shorter it is, the more likely somebody can remember it, talk about it, think about it themselves. And I was like, wait, there's a couple brands where also back to Nick Bear, he has the slogan "Go One More." There's a whole thing with it. It was by accident, but now people actually get it tattooed on them. It's a there's a philosophy. There's something about it, and you can apply that to your life, being like, can you go one more in this? Yes or no? Yes, let's go. And I was thinking, I want to give people some type of internal command, something that they can take away, even if they just never listen to my podcast again. They get like maybe 7 episodes or something. They remember the name, and maybe that name I can put in the back of their mind, and they can start using those words, kind of like a kid who learns words from from their parents. And so it's like demand more. Okay, because so many, I was like, something that's not generic. Can you demand more out of yourself right now? Out of this, out of your programming, out of your life, out of your partner, out of something? Can you demand more? Okay. So that's kind of where I was going. And from a branding marketing, it's stickier. It's 2 words. And yeah, so if someone can remember the demand more, I'm like, I like that. So that's the name of the podcast. But to answer the other one, where people can find me, I'm on all platforms. So podcasts, Instagram, YouTube, newsletter, all underneath my name, calvintrieu.co. And the podcast Demand More. And then, yeah,
Cool. I'll put that in the show notes too.
dopeskis.
Calvin, thank you so very much.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me here. This was fun.
Yeah, likewise. It was a blast. I learned a lot. And I feel like just to touch on your podcast, like I definitely feel very inspired to, hit the ground running with the show, with, pursuing this passion. And largely thanks to all the wisdom that you've been sharing today. So it makes perfect sense that you have a inspirational, motivational podcast of your own. Is it interviews or solo or both?
It's going to ebb and flow based off everything. But
Okay,
right now,
fair.
probably just on my own.
Cool.
And we'll go from there.
Sweet. Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.